Oops.
Welcome back, everyone. Let me start again. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Between the Lines, where we are starting a new series called Off the Pulpit, where I get to interview my friends outside of their commonly known arenas and just to get to know more about them. So, for today's episode, we have a special guest. His name is Jamin, or also Benjamin, and he's here to join us today. And so, Jamin, would you please kindly introduce yourself to us?
Okay, so my name is Benjamin or Jamin Kim. I'm currently in Vaughan, Ontario. It's near Toronto. And I graduated from Burman as a religious studies student. And yeah, and I got a call in Western Toronto Korean Church, so I'm pastoring in that church right now. And just a funny fact that I've been a vegetarian without not eating a lot of vegetables.
What's the point then? But I can definitely relate. So, just to have an icebreaker question before we dive into the rest of the questions. If there was a fire right now, what three objects would you grab with you?
Three objects. I guess I'm gonna get my phone,
Phone,
and I'll grab my mask
mask,
since we're in COVID-19, and
true,
I'll probably grab my hand sanitizer.
and hand sanitizer.
I don't
Okay.
I don't need my wallet because I have a Apple Pay that it's in my phone.
So everything's on your phone now.
Yes.
Alrighty. Smart, smart, smart. So the first question, as many of you may not know, or if you do, Jamin has moved around quite frequently, or ever since I talked to him, he's been always mentioning how he's moved from one country to another country, and even within the country, he like moves multiple of times. So, what are some life lessons you've learned from moving around so often?
Life lessons. I guess I learned how to adjust in that place where I come as a new person, like, or in a new place I come to there. I just adjust there quickly because almost every 3 years I had to move to other places because my dad is a pastor, and as a pastor's kid, you keep moving and then going to a new place, and then that kind of helped me through adjusting in a new place. Like in terms of friendships, I was able to just make friends easily and things like that.
Were there any like culture shocks that you experienced? Any major differences you saw?
Yes, when I first moved to Philippines from Korea, obviously I haven't seen that much of foreigners all throughout my life before I went there until I went there,
Right.
because in Korea nowadays there's a lot of foreigners, but then back then they used to have like a very minimum like foreigners in our country. So that was one of the cultural shock that I could say it right now. And when I moved to Burman, I guess the way of worship just made me like a cultural shock because like as it is well known, the Korean is a very like, how do I say it? Very conservative,
Yeah.
yeah, very conservative country, and then the way we worship is more like a very
Traditional.
traditional and very quiet and like that. But then when I came to
Oh,
Burman, like the instruments that they play, the way they sing was really different. But I think I like that more than just like a quiet worship service.
yeah, so for sure. So in your experiences, so just to recap for everyone, you were born in Korea, but you moved to the Philippines and then you also moved to Canada, which is where you are right now.
Hmm.
Since you were an international student for majority of your life, would you like to share like your experience with that? What was it like being an international student?
being an international student was, I would say, if I had to describe it in one word, I would say hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I feel like it was worth it. Like I learned a lot of stuff as an international student. Like for example, like I had to work a lot
Mm,
because as an international student, you need to pay a tuition more than the local students, right?
yeah.
And you have to pay in Berman. I had to pay 20K per semester. Per no 10K per semester, 20K per year. I
Mm,
have to put that into my student account every first semester. But then for the local students, they can pay monthly. They can divide it into monthly, and then they can pay monthly. But for us, I don't know why, but we weren't allowed to do that. So like in order for me to make that money, I had to work a lot during the summer or during the break or even during the semester. So from there, I learned a lot of stuff outside, like outside the school, and also was able to make me more, I guess, more mature, and also learned how to build my life and be more independent.
yeah. Like at Berman, I know you worked so many random jobs. You pretty much worked everything that was
Yes.
available on campus. Was there a specific job that you liked that was your favorite?
Uh, I worked I worked as a snow crew. I also worked as a custodial for a little bit. I also worked as facility maintenance during the summer. I mow. I've been like mowing the lawns and grasses, cutting grasses, and fixing some stuffs. I guess, and also I worked as a security during the COVID as a COVID check, and I think I would say I like the COVID check security because I was able to sit down and then do my stuff and then also do work at the same time. So I would say that's that's one of my favorite. Yeah.
What about any like memories that you have from working? Was there one memory that really like a funny experience that that really stood out to you? Any embarrassing moments?
Any embarrassing moments?
I don't know. A funny story at work.
Funny story at work. I don't have a, I don't know. Do you know anything?
Do I know anything? Well, not maybe not necessarily funny, but it would just be in a way kind of like unique how Jamin would always every time one of his jobs would end, like he would get another job opportunity whenever he really, really needed money. And
Mhm.
so I think overall that kind of showed how, like, in his life, God was providing for him and whatnot. And you could just see how things were working out, how he would like always get a job opportunity when he felt as though there was no other option, suddenly an option would come. So,
Yeah, cause
oh, I do have one story.
what? Okay.
Um, it was yearbook editor. So when I first met Jamin, I was the yearbook editor, and Jamin had told me that he wanted to work as well. But because he had come like a little, well, he came in August, but by when he came and really settled down, all the job opportunities and job positions were already filled
Mhm.
from the year before or just students continuing. And so he didn't really have an opportunity. And so when I saw that, I offered if he wanted to be a part of my yearbook team because I had a stipend to pay people. And I asked him if he knew how to edit photos on Lightroom, if he knew how to use InDesign. And this guy said yes. He said yes, and I would ask him questions whenever I didn't know how to, and he would answer as if he knew like everything until this year when he became the yearbook editor. The truth was revealed, and he actually didn't know. He was learning on the spot, so that was kind of funny. But yeah,
And also like I like really funny thing is that I renovated the Burman president's house during the summer. That was so random. And yeah, Like all of a sudden, when I really needed like a job during the summer, because I never had a, what do you call? I never had like a permanent job. It always like they would always say that, oh, this job could last only for 2 weeks, and I had to find another one, and it was always like that. But then, thankfully, God kept providing the next one, and then things that I've never did. I never knew if I could even renovate. I never knew that I could even edit photos, like photos of other people, but I still made it.
So, what are some things that you enjoy doing and why? So, some hobbies that you take interest in.
Hmm. I think I like playing sports. That's one of my hobbies, which I can't really do at this moment during COVID. But yeah, those are one of my hobbies, and I would say I like taking photos. I don't like being pictured, being, how do you say that, being pictured.
Photographed?
Yeah, I don't like to be in the picture
Yeah.
of photo shots, but I like taking pictures.
Hmm.
Maybe that became as a hobby because I was in part of the yearbook. So yeah,
What is your favorite movie or show and why?
movie and show.
Or show, doesn't have to be, could be any.
I would say the strongest delivery man. This is this is a Korean K drama series, and it talks about like this delivery. What do you call that? This delivery man. Like he would, just the character shows like a very Christ-like character, and I like to see like how, like, it was kind of funny that in K drama, like this person was like literally like kind of giving me like the pilgrim of like Jesus, and then like it felt nice. And I also, like when I was young, I also did some delivery works too, so I was able to relate that much.
Hmm. Yeah, so personally I tried to watch it because it was recommended to me, but I couldn't continue. So what about the character other than him being like a Christ-like character, or like the story of it, if you want to like tell our viewers, what about it really captivated you and kept you watching, and not only like to finish it, but why is it better than other shows or other movies you've watched?
So this show is pretty much, this person, the main character, goes around to different cities to other cities. Like he only works there for 2 to 3 months, and then he moves to a different town, and he works for 2 to 3 months, and then that's where I kind of resonated because I always moved around in cities to cities, countries to other countries. So that's where I started resonating. And then the reason why he was doing that is obviously different from my reason. He had to find his lost, like, he had a mom that ran away when he was young, and the reason why he's staying in that town for a little bit is to search for his mom for 3 months, and then move to a different town to search for his mom. And then that's pretty much like how it's going in a bigger picture. But when I felt like the Christ character in him is, he would be so kind. He would be serving, even though it could cause a lot of things for himself. But every time he does that, he shows that he makes so many friends, like a strong friendship with those people in that specific town. And then when he moved to other towns, he still he still carries that connection with his friends. And then when there is a crisis or hard time that he was going, all these friends would gather from all across the Korea, and then they will gather together and help him. And then eventually made I think they made like the whole new company for themselves, and like yeah, something like that. So I saw the unity coming from the servanthood,
Mm.
and yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like as you explain it, I definitely see how you relate to it, especially as you said, you move around different places, and each time you move, you do build a strong relationship with the people there. You make that kind of like your home.
Mhm.
Um, so with your whole life experience, as you mentioned earlier, you said that you're now being called into the field of ministry pretty much as a pastor. And so if you were not a pastor or if ministry didn't call you, what would you want to be and why?
All the Burman student probably would know this. I was planning to become a paramedic or maybe in the future a firefighter, like at my last year of my religious studies. The reason why is I had a stereotype in the title called pastor,
Mm,
and then every time I would read the Bible, it would say help one another, care for one another, and in the James true it says true religion is help caring for the homeless, caring for the fatherless, and it's all about the care, all about helping how helping other people is important. and and when those things kept highlighting, I figured out that maybe this is what I want to do. So I figured I heard about this paramedic and becoming a firefighter. So I started like liking it, and I kept watching some videos and like watching some YouTube videos and like searching for how to get in there, how to do my education and stuff like that. So I I kept pursuing this paramedic ways, but things didn't work out as much as your desire had, like your passion was. Like the visa was like visa I had to go through all those visa issues
mm,
and all those financial issues together, and it seemed to be very hard as an international student because international students everything needs to be done on time. Your study permit has a expiry date, and then all your studies needs to be done before that expiry date. And every like it's just really complicated in order for you to pursue different things and the things that you want to do in a different country. And so but then I still had this passion in my mind. I kept pushing through it. I want to do this. I don't think I want to become a pastor. I think I want to become a paramedic more than a pastor. And I feel I have a biblical truth on why I want to do this too. But then at the same time, I had this questions in my mind like, am I really pushing through this because I really want it and I find the biblical truth in it? Or am I just getting away from what God has called me to do, or just getting away from pastoral ministry? So that question always had in my mind, and I've gone through some stuff, and I eventually end up in Pastor Jeff College's lead pastor's office, and then I had some discussion with him, and he was talking about how God is not looking for my ability, but He's looking for your availability, which He's just saying that he doesn't know, he doesn't care how much I can do it, how much I can put into something. All God cares about is if you can say yes wherever He calls you to, right? So Pastor Jeff just suggested me how like maybe I should start a journey of surrender, which I take it really seriously. I felt like I had to literally let everything go away, kind of thing,
mm,
because there's been so many thoughts in my mind. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that, but I came to realize that I don't really have control in my life, and that's why I considered a surrender is a super important journey that a lot of everybody should take. Like we tend to think that we have control over our lives, right? We want to do that because this is our life. Little that we know that God can literally end your life in 3 seconds, right? If you know that He is the one that could provide life and take away your life, that means we don't have control over our life, right? And as I realized that, I started to like really just get rid of all those like crazy thoughts, I started to like, because I was not even gonna take the interviews, the pastoral interviews that we do with the conference. But after I got into like this journey, I started considering maybe I should just do my interview. Who knows? Like, who am I to just cut off like what God has planned for me, right? Like me doing interview is not. It doesn't really mean that I'm gonna become a pastor, right? So I just did my interviews and everything, and I became a pastor somehow. So I think if I wasn't a pastor, I would still love to do paramedic because deep in my heart, I still have that passion,
Hmm.
like I still want to be on the field and then take care of people and then be the one to help, like be the one to be in the people's need, right? And I guess if I cannot do that, I think I'll try to do while as a pastor, where I go to people into their needs instead of waiting in the church for people to bring their needs to me, right? Yeah.
No, yeah, that I think that's really profound, especially the the concept of surrender and letting go, kind of. I feel like for me, that's something that I also struggle with, as I like to have complete control and I like to micromanage everything. But
Mhm.
surrender really is huge. And I think another thing that you said as well that is really vital is the fact that it's not like your passion went away. Like
Mhm.
the core that, or the thing that burns at your core is not it, water hasn't put it out yet, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think, as you mentioned yourself, that that passion can move you in ways that other ministers may not have a passion for, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like other pastors may have different passions, different abilities, different likings and whatnot, just a different mentality. But you're coming here with this burning desire to not just help people, but to help people until you see a result,
Mhm.
until you see change. And so
Mhm.
I think that's really good. And so yeah, I guess you kind of answered our last question already. What was the journey like to get where you are now? But I have another last question. For those who are watching and who may be in a similar situation as you were, who might be kind of skeptic about what they want to do, who may not know exactly like yeah, what to do with the future and not know how to kind of bring a spiritual aspect of God into it, what would you say to them?
I would say that the same thing that Pastor Jeff told me. God is not looking for your ability, but He's looking for your availability. And that would apply if you really want to be His disciple, right? Like if your first thing above everything is work or earthly things, then this wouldn't apply to you. But if God is a first above everything, this would definitely needs to be applied to your life, because I like how I wanted to help people, and I found the biblical truth in it. I wanted to become a paramedic. But then now that I'm realizing that whether or not if I'm a paramedic or firefighter or pastor, the core thing that really mattered for me was helping one another, right? So the job didn't really matter for me, because
Hmm.
the passion was like me helping people and going to where the needs are, right? So I would say that He's not looking for your ability, but He's looking for your availability. And I would say that things would not always turn out better, like in a good way. Like life is not like that. Although I'm pretty young, I kind of realize that things don't really get better, but you do. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like there is gonna be a struggles, there is gonna be hard times, and it seems like it's not making better change. It's like making any better changes, but you do change. You learn from there, you grow from there, and you get mature. And then that's the message I would want to leave in this video.
Thank you, Jamin. I think you did say well that kind of like that verse, whatever your hands find to do it with all your might. So whatever is closest to you, whatever you can do, I think that you have a passion to help people, to serve people, and you can apply that with whatever job you do. And so just kind of like applying your passion to whatever your hands find to do and doing it to the best of your ability. So with that being said, thank you so much, Jamin, for joining us on today's episode, and we will see you guys in our next episode coming out next week.